told, I have a sister. She came to America last year, and her reference is in a book, published book about her experience of past life. So I can tell you my experience in my own family, that one of my sisters was born and she had a big problem of not breathing properly when she was born, and she had then shaking of the hand, which they called St. Vitus's dance. They diagnosed it as St. Vitus's dance. And the doctors all said there's not much chance of her survival and that she'll die. So we tried everything. My parents were trying to do medical systems, homeopathy, Ayurvedic, Unani, Greek medicine, and ultimately they even brought people who said, there's a spirit haunting her, we'll exorcise the spirit. They went through all that stuff, but this child was very small. And then my dad, who had by that time been initiated by Great Master, said before she dies, I would like her to be taken to Great Master so we can cast a glance on her, and that will save her soul and help her in getting initiated in the next life. So we took that baby, they're much younger than me, and so we traveled to the Dera and took her to Great Master and said, Master, this child is suffering from this illness and has to die, and therefore we said we should bring it to her to get your blessing so that in the next life she'll get some benefit of that. And he laughed and he said, she's not going to die. She will claim all the debt you owe to her before she dies. I don't think she's going to go away without it. First we thought it's a joke, and then we said, we're not from a Great Master talking like that. There must be some meaning in it. We got back, her breathing improved. She began to had a what they call hiccup of a strange kind, and began to recover. When she recovered, as a child, she would say Baba, Mama, sounds like that she would make. But we didn't understand that she's taking any names. As she grew up to age 2 and 3, she began to take names of people. My brother, whose name she would give, was not a part of our family. My sisters, 2 sisters, Shanta and Kanta, there's no Shanta and Kanta in our family anywhere. So we said somebody is teaching her all this. Maybe some servants in the house, maybe some friends are coming whose children may be having these names, and they are giving her this information. But she kept on telling, if you don't treat me well, that's how she would talk, a 3-year-old child, telling her brother, me, you don't treat me well, I'll go to my real brother, Om Prakash. If you people don't treat me like this, I'll go to my home with the 3 sides. We never understood what the 3 sides of a home means, and she kept on talking about it. Then my aunt came, my mother's sister came to live with us for a few days. And we told her she talks of funny names which are not part of our family at all. She says, maybe she's remembering a past life. But I can't think of who could she be? She doesn't seem to be connected with us, because even our extended family, there are no people with these names. Then my aunt got sick, and a doctor, this is in Hoshiarpur, this happened in Hoshiarpur, the place where we lived and where Baba Fakir Chand was also there, the famous saint, unknowing saint. The doctor came, and my aunt mentioned to the doctor, there's something wrong with this girl, this child. She speaks of names and names of relatives and a home, 3-sided home, and it has nothing to do with our house. What do you think it could be? He said, what names does she take? She says, my sisters are Shanta and Kanta, and my brother is Om Prakash. He said, they are the children of my neighbor. He's a bookseller. His bookstore is there in the main street, and these are the names of his kids. I treat them. I am their doctor. He said, that's amazing. We should go and see. So we took her in our car next day, and we used to tease her, oh, there's your old home with 3 sides. That's not my home. My home has 3 sides. She always criticized us. When we took her there, and we went to the bookstore to see the man whose children this doctor was treating, and she said immediately, "There's my house." So we said she's making a mistake. That's a store, that's a bookstore. That couldn't be the house. But when we went in, she ran straight inside the bookstore, because the house was right behind, three-sided, the front was the bookstore. And it was right there at the back. The father was there, the old father of this girl. And then the doctor confirmed that one of the girls, she's talking of two sisters, she was one of them who she's talking about, who as a teenager girl died. And died in mysterious circumstances, according to the doctor. Nobody spoke, the grieving was not like normal. So they didn't know why and how that teenager girl died. But the way this fitted in, the doctor suspected that she is the same girl, reborn, reincarnated. So when we went in, we said, this girl talks of these names and so on. He says, I'll check out if she is my daughter reborn. And being a Hindu, believing in reincarnation, it was not something very new, funny for him. He said, I can find out. I'll ask her a question. Come with me. He took the child aside and asked a question and came crying and said, she is my child. She is my child. He took out some money from his pocket and said, I owe you something. Gave the money to the child and said, yes, she is remembering her past life. She is my dead child. Come back again. We were very touched by that, and we got in the car and drove back. As we were driving back, we asked, what did that man ask you, by which he found out that you are his daughter? He said, he asked me, do you remember the well? There was a well in the center of the courtyard. Do you remember the well? I told him, yes, you threw me into it. I remember it. And we were shocked to hear this. We went back to ask the man, did you ask that question? He said, no, I never asked that. What did you ask that you got so convinced that she was your old daughter? He says, I only asked her, do you remember where you used to keep your clothes? And she pointed to the right place. She said, why are you telling me this when she's standing there? And he's explaining this. You asked me about the well. You threw me into the well. Don't you remember? He said, no, this is wrong, this is wrong. I even explained to him, I said, no criminal case can be made against you on the evidence of a reborn child. It's a great historical thing going on. It's something proving reincarnation. And I admit if you asked her this, no, I never killed anybody. He didn't accept that. After that, till then, she was always talking of the old names. From that date onwards, she began to recognize us as brothers and sisters and so on. So this happened in our own house. But because this news spread around in that town, that there's a girl who remembers her past life, and people say, oh, she's a goddess, and they began to worship. We had to move away from there, because they thought it's a big thing that a girl has remembered her past life. But this happened in our own home. And a book written by a former civil servant of India who lives in South Africa, in his book he gives the whole story of this girl's reincarnation. But there are so many stories. This happened in front of me, so I can validate this. So there are evidence of past lives that exist because people can remember these things. And there's another way to know past life. And people sometimes try, that's called past life regression. You heard of that?
Yes.
People can be made to remember. It's a psychological way. It's a pure psychology. You try to remember things of your childhood and create conditions in which you can remember. Some things you don't want to remember. And that's the talking out cure for some of the psychological aims, psychological ailments, that you make a person remember what happened, which is creating a trauma in you, and the whole thing is hidden in your subconscious. You bring it up. Very often by bringing it up in a grown-up state, you see it was childish to be afraid of it, and it goes away. It's a treatment. Psychiatric treatment is based on that.
There is a famous Dr.Brian Weiss, that he has done approved many masters, many lives. So he treats patients that way. They go through
Exactly.
regression, and the fears and a lot of psychological, emotional issues go
They-
away. They get healed.
That's true.
Healing.
That's true. It
Yes.
works.
So,
I, as a non-doctor, but studying this have worked, it works. By bringing up any hidden things in your subconscious, bring them up, and at that, in new light, you can take care of them. But very often, when you go into the regression by questioning about what happened earlier, at a certain point, people start talking of things that were happening even when they were not born. And that's another proof. It's their own self-remembering. Yes, I remember I was there. That happened even before you were born. How could that happen? Not in this body, but the personal memory is coming back. So there are many ways to check out these things. And the thing is, if you have religious belief, it's very difficult to change it. Religion indoctrinates us. And religion is not mostly of our choosing. We are born into that. We are born into family. They follow a certain religion. They follow a certain belief system. And we accept it. We accept it as ultimate truth. And people can keep on changing. Where this happened in Hoshiarpur with my sister's case, another doctor who was our neighbor, lived just next to us, was a Muslim. He is a Muslim doctor. He did not believe in reincarnation. He said, my religion does not allow me to believe in reincarnation. When he heard the story, he verified every point of it. He says, the evidence of reincarnation is overwhelming, but I still can't believe it. My religion won't let me believe it. Religion is very powerful. Religion, the indoctrination of religion is the most powerful indoctrination. And we all get indoctrinated so early in life, it becomes very difficult to get out of it. But marked souls somehow creep out of it. I have noticed that. Somehow, from the very beginning, they feel, what are we doing? This is not it. It's just a feeling that comes so early. And it can be one person in a whole family having that feeling, and all the rest are following the religion, religiously following the religion. And one person is saying, no, I can't accept it. And then comes up eventually to be initiated by a perfect living master. I have seen hundreds of these cases. So there is something about reincarnation that one can discover. Another way is to meditate and go back. You can see your own past lives just by going one step up. It's not too far. You can see all your lives, past and future destined, at the Akashic record level. You chose it. You can see that the videotape, that the DVD that you picked up there had programmed everything from the past to the future completely. When you play a DVD, you don't change it in the middle. You watch the whole show. If you want to change it, you cut it out and put a new DVD. But you can't say, I'm playing a DVD, I want to change one scene out of it. You can't. There was a guy from an illiterate villager in India. He went to see a movie in a town. In the movie, there's one scene where a girl takes off her dresses to jump into the pool. But before he can see her nude, a train comes in front. And by the time the train has gone, she's already in the water. He wants to see her. He saw the movie 20 times, waiting the train will be late one day. That's our condition. It doesn't happen like that. You can change the whole reel, you can change the whole show, but you can't change it in the middle. It's predestined. We picked it up. Okay? All right, thank you.